Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready? Get ready, go. Get ready. Get ready. This be the green light, go. Tires burn the pavement. People wanna know where Mace, Posse, Dave went. Still here, still in your ear with a style so hot. You'll see where all the sun rays went. Legs on the head, all being moved in a frenzy. The blends be all the right cred, meaning credential. Best of both worlds when we rockin' over pearls and the instrumental. Are you ready? Set, jump to the rhythm as hard as you can go. Steady, to the letter ride, turn it up. We giving the show. But can you rock it like rocket? What you talking about? Space out your mind. Can you rock it like rocket? Close it down. Jump to the rhythm as hard as you can go. Steady, to the letter ride.
Hello and welcome everyone to the LCS Summer Split. I am Freak. Kobe, are you ready?
Let's go.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. Before we jump into the matches, though, I'd like to welcome back a beloved game by many who are not named Mark. The LCS stock market, that's right, we have returned with a fan favorite. For those of you new to the game, though, teams have an ELO system based on the roster's wins and losses. Now, the stats team does some magic math behind the scene that gives us the prices for the teams. Then the analysts, they buy in or drop out on teams based on how they expect them to perform over the next 2 weeks. So 4 games of gameplay. Let's first take a look at who won the spring split. If I recall correctly, it's the man who abandoned us, Jat, up there at the top of the tables. But notably, every single analyst who took part in this game lost money over the course of spring split because y'all started with 5K.
Yeah, I think that's why Jat actually ended up leaving and going to TL. They pay fat stacks and need to make up his losses, I heard.
There it is. Steve helping him out on that one. The good news for all of you is that the money is reset going into summer. So each of you will start with $5,000, able to split those across whatever stocks you want. I think it would be a good idea for us to check in on stock prices as well as we head over to Crumbs to start talking about his picks.
Oh, yes. Now, when you look at the stock market, you got to compare it to real-life stock market trading, and you want to buy low, people. CLG is the cheapest of the stocks. It is $385 per share. It is amazing of a deal right now because we haven't even seen them play. And if that's not enough to convince you, look at the schedule that this team has. It is so fantastic. It is easy, right? Maybe you lose against Evil Geniuses. They already won 1 game. But the rest of the 3 teams, these are the teams that were at the bottom of the barrel last split. These teams did not do a whole lot, and they blew up the roster as well. CLG stayed together, so if anything, it should be a greater advantage for them now that they had Pobelter to practice with for a long time. So I think that CLG is just going to cash in money, and I can't wait to win Spring Split already.
Wow, that's a lot of confidence coming out of Crumbs there, putting all of his weight behind a CLG that struggled in spring, but saying, hey, nowhere to go but up. Probably, what are you thinking?
Well, when we're talking about short-term stocks, we don't want to buy the volatile stocks, especially in the beginning of the split where we don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to bet on a more for sure thing. We got FlyQuest and TL. I think FlyQuest didn't make any big roster changes other than the solo keep, and I think they have a really high chance of maybe going 75% in the next 2 weeks. And TL, on the other hand, I think they're very low right now. I think they can only go up. So very safe, very stable stocks that they should pay off pretty well, more than this little Crumbs buy low kind of thing.
Oh. Interesting. A little bit more diversification here from Prowley and putting some weight behind a FlyQuest that he thinks will only get better even after suffering that loss just yesterday. Mark, I'm coming to you next, and I got to be honest, I am polling for you in this split. There's definitely some host bias here. What do you got for me?
I mean, I win enough of the other games that, it's fine to lose the stock market. For me, I'm going a lot of TSM and TL. I know they're playing each other today, but after that is where I'm looking. And is this also kind of averages out whatever loss I might face today. C9's a safe bet. I think both TL and TSM were relatively cheap, and I expect them to do pretty well, actually, this split. When we were doing the dive power rankings, everyone's fairly optimistic. Behind the scenes, things haven't sounded great for TSM so far, but I'm hoping that's just some scrim problems, and on stage they're able to perform a little bit better. So I have a lot of confidence in them. Their schedules aren't super hard at the start. It is a bunch of those kind of fringy playoff teams.
All right, hedging his bets with that TL and TSM pickup, and then the sure thing with the 1C9 stock to close it all out. That's going to lead us to our games today, where EG and CLG will kick things off with Immortals versus FlyQuest and Golden Guardians versus Dignitas later in the day. Now make sure you join us all weekend, because after Sunday's games, we've got the Bud Light League Lounge, where we'll kick back and review the first week of action. That's always a fun one. Oh my goodness, they chose the game show photo. They chose the game show photo. I missed that.
You have to get the glitter.
It's a good suit.
I know. I'm going to have to get that from the studio, shipped to my house, so that I can wear it later in the split, perhaps. With that, though, let's move right along. I am conveniently left out, potentially the most hyped matchup going into today, and that would be Game 2, where, as you mentioned, Mark Doublelift puts back on his TSM jersey and faces off against his former squad in Team Liquid. Let's talk about this one.
I mean, this is the hypest matchup we're going to get today. It's another revenge tour for Doublelift, but especially a spicy one, I think, with how the departure happened. It was not really on amicable terms. He sounded resentful of some of the coaching staff. Sounds like the team was not, hyped at each other. And Doublelift has a lot to prove after finishing 9th, which was honestly an embarrassment for the entire organization of Team Liquid. And TSM has not been faring that much better since his departure either. So both these teams are super hungry to turn things around.
Yeah, so probably I'll come to you. TSM, with Doublelift returning, there are, glimmers of that old identity, that they had. But as Meteos is in the position of speaker here,
looks different.
It's a very interesting looking speaker, my friend. But probably with there being kind of this idea of identity from the last time Doublelift was on the roster, but given that we are a couple years removed, where do you expect this team to go? How do you expect them to mesh together?
Well, honestly, I feel like the identity won't be too big of an issue going forward. I think in the beginning, obviously, it's a new team, and their coaching structure was really delayed announcements. So I'm curious to see how long it's going to take them. But in spring, their identity wasn't that strong. They kind of played around top, but they didn't have a for sure way to win every single game. They're very inconsistent. So I think coming into summer, Doublelift wants it to be about him, for sure. I don't think he's changed that much as a person. So I think he's going to be able to go in there and say, hey, let's start playing around bot. And I don't think they have any power to be nah, it's not going to work that way. So I do believe this is going to be a Doublelift focused team.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, go ahead,
but I feel like when you also have a new jungler that only had 3 games on the main roster on Sejuani duty, that's just going to tear the team apart, because you were ideally playing to the top side towards the end of the split, and Broken Blade was getting a lot of attention there, and it worked really well. But now you're going to put Doublelift back on the horse when it comes to just commanding the team, and that's what happens in every team that Doublelift is on. You win, but you have to play to that lane. So I think that Spica is going to have a really hard time figuring out which lane to go to, and that might be the big issue for TSM.
Now, I had the Magic Stats team that we've got behind the scenes do a little bit of digging for me for a somewhat obscure stat. But essentially, I asked them, what was Doublelift's record in the first game of the season against the team that he had previously left? And the only time he has lost to his former team in the first game of the split that he plays them is leaving that 2015 CLG roster and moving to TSM, where he then lost. But since then, he has won every first matchup against his former team that he has left, which indicates TSM is looking at a victory here today.
Well, he did go to TSM that time, too, when he did lose.
That is true.
Maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting stat, but
Right, if you're a superstitious person, you tell me which side of the coin you land on. Only time will tell. And while we talk about TSM and this big pickup, we have to talk about now the void that is being left on Team Liquid. So, Mark, I'm going to come right back to you. The identity of Team Liquid without Doublelift.
Yeah, I think this is a big problem for Jat and the rest of the team to kind of figure out, with Doublelift, probably talked about being such a key focus of whatever team he's on. He's gone now, Tactical stepping in. Probably easier to mold him to whatever your team playstyle is. And I think myself and a lot of people are looking towards Broxah and Jensen. One of the key things about bringing Broxah in was a more explosive mid-jungle synergy combination. Didn't manifest last split, and now you really actually need to make that work because you don't have Doublelift as the fallback plan anymore.
Yeah, Crumbs, throughout Spring Split, criticism was levied pretty much across the board at Team Liquid members, but if there was one person who escaped it more than others, it seemed to be Jensen. People saying that he seemed to be putting up a somewhat solid performance throughout the entirety of Spring. Do you expect him to kind of fill that star role that Doublelift is leaving?
Yeah, when you see just the fire that Team Liquid was under, and the fact that Jensen was still performing is a really good sign for a player that is still just very competent. That's not going to have his play be affected by what's happening with the rest of the team. And he's Danish, paired up with a Danish jungler with Broxa that really showed us a lot of very impressive plays towards the end of the game, of the split. When they faced against Cloud9, that Team Liquid roster's firepower will still be there despite Doublelift not being on the roster, right? You can have tactical, still be playing just regular marksmen. It's not going to be that necessary. The rest of the team can just revolve around the solo lanes, and it'll have to be Jensen just taking a more vocal role, but he's already gotten a championship under his belt. If this is not what he recognizes, what he needs to do to win the game and become just that much stronger of a mid laner, then I don't know what he's thinking, because it seems very clear from everyone that's looking at this new TL.
And probably I'm coming to you on the coaching front, because while they did lose Doublelift, they picked up a Jat 5 weeks into his stint as head coach. Maybe you can just talk through a little bit of what that transition is like, becoming a first-time coach and only having 5 weeks of time to whip this team into shape.
Yeah, see, I had like the added benefit of the team that I was on was full of rookies. So Jat's actual job is much harder than I did when I was jumping into the coaching role, because now he's dealing with a whole bunch of veterans who have had success, who have been on this team for years. So he's going to have to find his like spot on the team where he needs to apply pressure and where he needs to help players. But the good thing is he does have Tactical joining him. So I think his influence on Tactical is going to be really great, since he's very knowledgeable about the game in general. And the fact that they just did so poorly in Spring, I'm not sure that there's going to be much pushback from the players when it comes to like what's our direction for Summer and like how are we actually going to start this out. So I think it's a much different beast than I had to deal with, but I think he's up to the task.
All right, well, I think he's up to the task as well, but it's up to him and the players to prove it. Quick predictions from you guys, that second game of the day, since it is such a hot topic. Let's go down the line, so probably right back to you.
I'm going to say TL. I'm on Team Jet for right now. I don't think TSM's got it yet. I do think their peak's higher, but for now, I think it's TL.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
All
wow.
of us
All
TL.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling TL as well, and mostly because you've got veterans. You've got so many veterans. It's going to be, I think, a bit easier to manage that versus TSM, that I think will have a little bit of a harder time adjusting themselves to these new lineup changes. Doublelift was not the best AD in the league, right? Is he just going to have that drop-off and then suddenly just go back to form? I think it'll take a little bit more time.
Mark, anything to add?
Only preseason rumors that TSM was not looking so hot in scrims, so that's why I'm going TL.
Okay, interestingly enough, all three going for TL, but only time will tell. That's our second game of the day. There's nothing left for us to do here on the countdown, but hand it off to freaking Kobe for Evil Geniuses versus CLG.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LCS 2020 Summer Split. I'm Freak. Kobe, are you ready?
Let's go. That was cringe. That was cringe. We're supposed to do that, like,
that was
when
great.
it
How
goes
dare
into
you.
the game.
It's just like the video. It's great. You can do a mashup. There's going to be a YouTube. They're going to put it down 50%. So it will sound funny. It'll be great. Everything's going to be perfect there. Of course, we are getting ready to get into our first game of the day. Evil Geniuses we saw yesterday. Jiizuke had an incredible Corki game, almost single-handedly taking on 100 Thieves. Counter Logic Gaming, though, yes, they were the 10th place finisher from last split, but I have heard positive things, partially from you, Kobe, that they are doing better this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard some rumors of positive scrim information. To me, it's very easy, since they were 10th place and they had only up to go to have some positive feedback. But I would hone in on Pobelter specifically. I think that not only is he bringing his skill as a mid laner, but everyone has cited his skill in coaching from his brief stint with Team Liquid. So maybe that gives them some more hope. EG, though, definitely will be favored coming into this one, especially off their success yesterday. And Set banned out first. I really do enjoy Sets in the current meta. It's a three-way flex to jungle, top, and support at the moment. Very good playmakers, but Evil Geniuses not considering it a first pick worthy champion and don't want to let CLG get it on the backswing of the second go.
Yeah, definitely a strong champion overall, as we see Varus off the bat. No surprises here. Yeah, EG, the second place finisher from the regular season in the spring split. Couldn't quite go all the way on playoffs, but obviously very strong performer overall. And just waiting as the bans kick down and come through. And, you know, I'm also very intrigued in the continued growth of Kumo here in the top lane. He was pinch hitting a couple of games on Cloud9 last year. I think the sort of thoughts going around was that Jack was trying to like get him a couple of games so that they could sell him off to their team. But like, you know, they're obviously not going to drop Licorice anytime soon. But hey, come on, come look at Kumo. This is a good player, right? He had some good games and, you know, got a top 3 in his first real, you know, starting split there, EG in the postseason. And though he hadn't been an all-star by any real means, I want to see him keep going up, right? This is his first year as a full-time starter, and if that guy keeps going upwards, that's a really good sign for this team.
Yeah, I think Kumo performed admirably yesterday, catching up on the rest of these bans, though CLG focusing really heavily on the bottom lane. And Bang, to me, was the second best AD carry of Spring Split in all of the LCS. So I do like that focus. They've whittled down, taking out some of the biggest lane bullies and some of the biggest early game ones. You know, Kalista and Varus, both extremely strong right now. Aphelios and Ezreal are probably the next 2 in my power rankings just overall of AD carries. Okay, no surprise. They're just going to pick up both of those. Ezreal also got locked in, but Aphelios, good scaling still, even, you know, with some of the nerfs that they've thrown at this champion. And of course, Ezreal, this new Death Dance incorporation into the build makes him even more survival than he was before, like even more tenacious. He's got not only his own escapes and plenty of poke to throw down with the Yuumi, but we'll have, you know, armor from the Iceborne Gauntlet as well as the Death Dance if he decides to build it. And it just becomes one of the AD carries that's actually hard to kill in a meta where everyone's complaining about how easy it is to take down AD carries.
Which I find very silly because obviously on the one side you've got a Yuumi over here, there's a Lulu hover on the EG side, so we are getting double enchanters down here in the bottom lane. But also, yeah, you mentioned Death's Dance. That item got buffed in the middle of the Spring Split. It is an absurdly strong durability item for marksmen as well as melee AD champions, bruisers and the like. Jayce might want to pick it up, for example. And yeah, also even Edge of Night exists. Ezreal actually can, you know, somewhat faithfully go for a lethality build if he wants to go Edge of Night, even add a Duskblade over the top of that one as well if he wants to kill squishies. That can even add more survivability. So yeah, backline should feel very safe. Always a fan of the Infinity Edge Hurricane Aphelios builds, which are the most common. And Bang, we know, is absurdly good at putting down damage in a late game team fight. So definitely looking at him a lot in the late game here. Now with the Lulu support, should look really nice. You got a Trundle here for Svenskeren up in the jungle. That should look really good as well. So EG have a very good team fight composition already as Carnologic Gaming lock into Jayce.
Exactly. This already, we can classify both of these team comps, both strategies from both teams in literally the first half of the picks here, because this is very clear team fight front to back from Evil Geniuses. You have the 3 main ingredients that you all want in a team like that. You have your frontline Trundle, who can also shred the enemy frontline with the ultimate, and then your Enchanter to buff up the scaling AD carry of Aphelios. You mentioned the crit and Hurricane build, which is you know, perfect for those team fights. Meanwhile, CLG, the clearest of clear poke compositions, Freak. You've got plenty of speed in there as well for them to try and dodge the initiations, which come in as the usual counter to poke compositions. So we shall see as they ban out now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Malphite's a really meta top laner. With CLG's like, look, we made it really obvious what we're playing. We're throwing in the Malphite ban real quick because he hasn't played a top laner yet. He hasn't picked one. Yeah. Malphite would be the surefire way in. So we might see, well, I guess Ornn's already gone. Maokai is not the most reliable engage. I don't expect Nautilus top, so I'm not certain what CLG bans second. They say, you know what, let's just get rid of an assassin in the mid lane. Let's not let Jiizuke have quite the impact he might want to have on this game. Getting rid of some of that versus LeBlanc is certainly very scary.
Yeah, I like that too because it's a protection ban. A lot of times in poke compositions, you yourself don't have a lot of your own targeted crowd control, and so you can get picked apart by something like LeBlanc that you really do need someone to be able to lock them down later, or they're able to get a lot of initiations onto your squishy front line. And we're going to round it out with the Galio there for the last one. They don't want the extra protection from that cross-map ultimate to come in.
Yeah, makes sense, honestly. Well, this would be what we'd expect to see for more poke as, yes, indeed, Nidalee comes through for Wiggily. Did get buffed a couple patches ago, more javelin toss damage. The late game jungle camps also worth more experience from about 50 minutes in the game onwards. So if you want to power farm later on in the game and remain a sort of high level, high gold jungler, Nidalee, one of the champs who can really rely on that.
Yeah, personally, I love Nidalee. I think she's so incredibly good. It takes a very strong player to actually find success with the champion, both because your team has to be on the game plan of supporting your invades and trying to power farm not just your side of the map. Power farming the enemies, invading the enemies, harassing them with spears is such a big key component to this champion. But man, you gotta love CLG just quadrupling down on a poke composition. The name of the game for CLG is hit your skill shots or lose the game, because literally every single champion is this, and usually you need something to tie it together, something to be able to at least land some sort of initiation for them, some sort of crowd control, maybe some sort of disengage. I like EG's. Yeah, definitely true.
And then they find like a tank, like a Maokai or something in the top lane. I think Maokai, no, well, actually, yeah, because Cassio, I mean, theoretically could go top against the Poppy and would look really good. Yeah, but I'm not sure what's happening.
Her ult definitely works well as counter engage, but I have to say I like EG's response. The Twisted Fate coming out to try and prey on those members of the poke composition while they're split up, and that extra vision does go a super long way.
Yeah. Kobe, I want to ask this really very pointedly. I really think Cassiopeia top Jayce mid is a far better look for CLG, whether the players swap champions or they swap roles. I feel like Cassio should look very good in a Poppy who wants to buy Sunfire Cape, wants to buy armor, and Jayce can, I think, pretty cleanly get an early QSS and feel comfortable against Twisted Fate. As you can see by Summoners, that's not happening, right? Cassio's bringing Cleanse, expecting to fight Twisted Fate. Ruin on the Jayce has TP, expecting to go top lane. But gut check me here, is that wrong to think that way?
I don't think it's wrong to think that way. I would say there is an extra wrinkle that you do need to consider of their jungler is AP for CLG. So wherever the Cassiopeia goes, I would not want my lane opponent to be able to rush the magic resist. You mentioned Poppy wanting to build Sunfire. If they have a top side of the map that is Nidalee Cassiopeia, then the Poppy very clearly is going to be able to rush magic resistance. Twisted Fate usually doesn't do that because he tries to get the extra mana or go the Rod of Ages build even to be a little bit more tanky. Most Twisted Fates are AP nowadays.
Sure, yeah.
So I do agree, but I definitely see it this way, as both Cassiopeia and Jayce can run the phase rush with the extra mobility and get the kiting, and then you kind of avoid the problem of rushing the MR.
Alrighty, well, we are on to the Rift for our first game of the day. Evil Geniuses, a 1-0 start to the LCS 2020 Summer Split. CLG on the right-hand side. The 10th place finisher from last split, but are looking to improve, and everyone gives a lot of credit to Pobelter, thinks he can do it, and continue to lead this squad to some success. I know Wiggily is going to have a lot of pressure on his shoulders this game on Nidalee. This is definitely a champion that really rewards you being skillful and smart with your engages. And I would say last year's Summer Split Wiggily was very good. When Ruin joined the roster in the 2019 summer, I thought it was a really big improvement, and Wiggily played really well, and CLG got all the way to 3rd place in the 2019 summer playoffs. That all went away in the 2020 spring split. I want to see them go back to last year's form, not last split's form.
Yeah, it definitely did all go away in CLG. Yeah, very clearly last split. Super rough time at the bottom of the standings for majority of both leagues, actually. Wiggily going to start on the top side, though, as is Svenskeren. So I really closely do want to track Wiggly's path here, because Trundle is definitely an opponent jungle champion that Nidalee has a lot of extra control over, because Trundle cannot, force things on the Nidalee. He can get vision. You can try and throw a pillar and run away, and you can try and dodge the spears. But it's really in the control of the Nidalee player and the Nidalee player's lanes to play off of. He's just doing what looks like a full side red side clear to top down here. and maybe that does signal some more pressure aimed at Bang and Zeyzal, as Bang and Zeyzal are just gaining full control of this lead, forcing Stixxay and Smoothie off of the wave.
And they've chunked Smoothie to basically half mana already by landing several skill shots onto Smoothie that can slightly hamper the Yuumi laning phase. We've got the fairly standard look now where Relic Shield is very, very common on enchanters down here. You don't often get to hit the turret very much, don't often get to poke your opponent very much, so you get the more guaranteed gold income by just last hitting with Relic Shield once every wave or so, and ensures you get your items on time. There's certainly matches where you do want to go for the Spell Thieves, but in this case, you're saying, yeah, we're going to miss out on the mana regen and just make sure we get the gold income for the item spikes.
Yeah, and with both junglers looking at bottom crab, actually Svenskeren, is he going to get some deep vision first? Doesn't actually go place the ward, but he does get the bottom crab before Wiggily can finish his full clear. If we can get an isolation of the top lane matchup, though, that will really favor CLG, should favor Ruin. As, you know, before Poppy gets her first back to go back and get some more resistances, it's pretty much Jayce gets the free reign. You can see the phase rush proc there. Ruin constantly weaving in these auto attacks while Kumo's trying to scrape up some CS. It's also important when you're doing this in a lane to drop into the brush on the side, so you drop any minion aggro that you've gained, so you can retain control of the wave. But that's why I like Wiggily doubling back to top crab and trying to gain some more vision, some more security here for Ruin, since they've been able to get this isolation, and they do have double damage types up here with AP jungler and AD top laner.
Yeah, right now, looking at the top lane matchup, though, it's not too bad despite the isolation. You can see Kumo only down 4 CS, still has 2 biscuits, and he's been trading his health bar with Ruin's mana bar, and Ruin is almost out of mana to poke with, so it feels like Kumo has weathered most of the early storm. We'll see, though, with level 5. Does Shock Blast come down? Not yet. There we go, but that's going to cost him 100 or so mana every time, and Kumo, now that he chugs the first biscuit, is just going to be able to sustain, it feels like, just enough. Has the shield, time's out now, and holding on so far okay. The jungler is staying equal as well, sort of as time goes on. That's a nice one there. Kumo
rejected!
Okay, yep. Here it comes to the skies, pop the W, waste your mana some more, no problems. And here comes Svenskeren looking to turn the lane around.
Phase rush and the acceleration gate. He does get the slow.
Oh, that was a crucial flash. Knew that Kumo could follow up. Kumo actually flashed to try to land the slam as well. It's only going to be a trade of summoners. That could have been so much worse for Ruin, but expected it to come through. Quick blast hits the mid lane. Top lane going to be basically equal in farm. They're both going to burn TP pretty soon, as Ruin already has, but Kumo needs to shortly.
Yeah, the thing to highlight in that little skirmish up there is the speed. Like you're talking about, Ruin was cognizant of the combo. He knows exactly what you're looking for. It's one of those, you know, Poppy plus anyone who can create terrain. Probably the funniest one is Poppy and Anivia wall. I've been you know, bang into that. But Trundle putting up the pillar, as soon as it's there, Ruin knows that that's what they're looking for. So they do get the flashes traded. I think that is one of those things that you yourself were specifically looking for with Kumo, you know, avoiding that gank, trading flashes, being cognizant of the offensive tools that your opponents have. You know, all bode well for EG and for you know, their young top laner.
Alrighty, so you got Bombi Cinder versus Double Longsword as the first recall's up in that lane. Svenskeren gets his upgraded Smite. He had gotten that a while back when he recalled after killing the bottom scuttle. But some ability power now in, and more damage towards Stixxay. CLG forced to bleed a little bit of farm down here. You can see Bang rushing Executioners calling to try to make sure those trades look very good against Smoothie. Keep in mind, Smoothie has not only his normal Yuumi kit, but also Summoner Heal on that one to really, you know, cut down on that healing. This can be actually very effective. We'll see if that can actually turn into some kind of kill pressure down there. Find the root. Zey's going to get some more damage. You can see Stixxay down to 200 health, and Smoothie is out of mana. But now a fight into the top side of the map. Just the damage, far too much. Wiggily cannot get away. First blood comes through to Jiizuke.
Kumo able to get the roam off through the enemy jungler. Let's see if Ruin lets him out, though. He's going to find him at the gate, and Kumo will take that fight with a TF behind him.
Round 2 of the 3v1, and Ruin is just that. A 2-0 to Jiizuke already.
Ooh, okay, it's definitely looking pretty bad for CLG here. Only 7 minutes into the game. Let's take another look at how we got to this point. because Wiggily is trying to get the vision here, but there seems to be a lack of communication between top lane and the rest of the team here as Ruin loses sight of Kumo dipping into the fog of war there with the control wards leading up through. But then there's a lack of communication both ways. Why is Ruin kind of committing to closing the door here versus Kumo when Jiizuke is been level 6 for a very long time here, even up to level 7 now with the ultimate ready, and since they've already gotten the kill on the enemy jungler, it's a very easy ultimate for Jiizuke to go with. So exceptional play here from EG, you know, after their play yesterday and the start here. I think they're feeling very good, you know, about the break that they took.
Yeah, I mean, EG's feeling pretty comfortable so far. I want to say that I'm not sure I can blame coordination for not knowing at 8 minutes TF isn't level 6 by now, or 7 minutes. Like, that is, if you're at least Diamond, you 100% know that's always true without the guy getting slaughtered in lane or something. So,
yeah,
that's just,
especially since he's a solo laner and he's like, I'm level 7.
Yeah, I'm level 7. I wonder if TF might have his ultimate. Nah, I didn't skill it.
The classic.
Yeah, he's not much of a chef, all right? He didn't skill it. There's nothing in there. He's not cooking anything. It's fine. Yeah,
we got 8.5 minutes into our first cast with Freak before we get the first pun.
That's my first pun. My puns per hour, or puns per minute, 1/8. Not bad so far. Bang shoots down to the bottom turret, gets to the half HP. That's going to be the root into place. Big damage. He's out of turret range, but here comes Wiggily. Could jump in, goes in, exhaust on, flash to get away, but now the re-root, and Wiggily has to run for his life to follow. The ulti lands. Wiggly's going to drop, and Zeyzal's on the board for his first kill to split.
How is Svenskeren even flashing in to get the Trundle ultimate on him and lower the resistances a little bit further, make sure they can finish off that kill. EG strike again. And that is going to be now bottom side victory easily turned into dragon control. So some kills on the top side are one thing, and you're like, oh no, you know, the Poppy is really having an impact in this game early on. That's going to be a bad sign for CLG. But once EG can take control of the bottom side of the map securely with the Aphelios and Lulu, that leads into dragon stacking for the team that has Twisted Fate and has a very easy time now of continuous snowball here.
Okay, CLG, they have to work back from a 2,000 gold deficit already 10 minutes into the game. That is not going to look good for their season-long stats. This is a rough one. Evil Geniuses, though, got to feel comfortable about how this one is starting out. Rod of Ages stacking up early off of those first 2 kills. Obviously, Jiizuke has to be happy about that one. His 700 gold picked up from his first 2 kills, and just, you know, knocking down the minions, making sure he has some lane pressure, and going to find his next target opportunity as the ulti's back up already. Has the spellbook bringing up an ignite, and we'll see what he can find for himself. 4 minutes to go till the next Drake spawns up. The obvious early Inferno went to EG off of that bot lane play. Manamune is done though for Stixxay, so that's starting to stack up. That is at least the first power spike done for the bottom lane. Going to feel fairly comfortable. Top lane farm still pretty solid for Ruin, but having a hard time facing off against Kumo is, you know, honestly, the Poppy roams are better than 10 CS realistically, and he's stacking up on armor. You can see going towards the Sunfire Cape. Maybe Wiggily can show up, but he's instead going to go to the bottom lane. In on it, bang! Stixxay, that is far too much. You didn't have your team around. Beautifully timed knock-up, and this could be death right away. Wiggly's running for dear life. It's not going to be enough. A double kill for Bang.
Freak, this is actually getting hard to watch. Just completely outclassed here. Now Smoothie all alone.
He's so dead. He is just going down. Quick kill to Bang, give him the 3rd in a row. 3rd plate drops as well. EG are walking over this game.
I mean, there's just multiple really well-played instances in the skirmishes to point out for the side of EG. Bang with that root for Gravitum, punishes Stixxay for overcommitting to the quote-unquote bait that they're trying to get off on the bottom side. Him going down then means that they can also turn on the Nidalee very easily. Zeyzal's timing on the knockup, if you see this. Okay, well, we'll first look at the punish. This is Stixxay and Smoothie trying to bait for Wiggily. You know, you overcommit a little bit. You try and get them to expose themselves for the hit of a skill shot. Bang is able to get the root off of the poke there. He dodges the Q as well, and then burns him down under tower. And once Stixxay ease in for the bait, flashing out, still dying, Zeyzal's got the knockup. You see that interrupt? He times his knockup so well, it doesn't even let the damage come through for Nidalee's jump, and Ruin now getting chased down. EG just out of control.
He's dead. He's dead. third kill for Jiizuke. That's going to be a rough one. Do need to point out, Exhaust had missed in the previous fight. He exhausted Zeyzal, not Bang. That means something, although it probably still would have went just as badly for CLG down at the bottom lane, but is worth noting that went down. The gold deficit just ballooning. It was 2,000 at 10 minutes. We've gone 2.5 since then, and it's now 6,000. It's actually tripled in that amount of time. Herald was summoned to the top lane. Kumo a ton of gold up there. Bottom turret's going to fall now as well. 2-0 in that score. There is not a lot CLG have been able to do in this game. All their aggressive moves have been turned around by Zeyzal usually.
Yeah, maybe the rumors of Scrim's success were greatly exaggerated. Because this game, let's just really re-emphasize how difficult it is. And we can play the hard mode of strategy from CLG's side. Okay. Now, they index so heavily on poke, right? And your long range. And the goal of compositions like this are to try and start getting tower pressure so that you can group up and bring your champions together. There's so much synergy that goes on in poke comps where you want to try and be the ones, to be able to bring multiple poke champions together to fire off the skill shots at opponents by pushing up at the turrets and sieging. Those are the biggest strengths. And then, they draft this Cassiopeia for a little bit of counter engage with the ultimate, to hopefully dissuade some of the hard engage counter. But when you fall behind early like this, and you're not able to have your Nidalee gaining any sort of control on the map, and actually the Nidalee dies multiple times early, it just means that EG can actually go wherever they want. They had bottom lane control because Bang and Zeyzal were already winning 2v2. Then they also get the gank. So dragon stacking, neutral objectives fully in the favor of the team fight team means their game plan is very easy to execute. And CLG's game plan is completely blocked.
Yeah, they really don't have. They're not near any turrets. It's a really rough one here.
They're near their own turrets, freak.
Oh, he poked the chicken and stole 45 gold from his own jungle. That's the constant work. You just need to do that about 100 times. You tie up the gold difference.
You gotta count your blessings one step at a time, freak. One step in front of the other. As we said, though, the dragon stacking will continue. The territory on Summoner's Rift that we will deem evil genius territory is encroaching very heavily into what was originally CLG's side of the map. As you see, both outer turrets are down, all neutrals. They're converging on mid lane and even diving.
And Ruin is stunned, he is slowed, he is knocked into the air, and he is given a 4th kill now to Jiizuke, and that's just what happens now as time goes on, and the items stack up, and it's just a poor, squishy top laner without any support anymore. A lot of goose eggs here in the CLG scoreline. They're actually en route towards a perfect game in their split opener. Time still to play, but it looks like they're never even going to see an opposing turret anytime soon, and it's going to be a tough road ahead. Maybe they can wait for the Baron setup and find some way to push their opponents off in 5 minutes, but otherwise, I don't see easy inroads in for CLG.
I actually want to track that. Now that you said it, I think that is hilarious.
Will you see a turret?
Yeah, if we toggle vision for CLG, right now, they cannot see any. They can't literally in Fog of War for all of the EG turrets. They would just have to, quickly push minion waves to get some minions over there to get the vision. But, man,
Kobe?
Okay.
I hate to burst your bubble. Ezreal ult gives vision. So he can just ult down mid lane for wave clear and he'll see the turrets.
Big brain. That's a big brain freak.
That's not fair. It's just
scouting.
technically true.
It's thematic for the champion. Ezreal's all about scouting, right?
Yeah. He's the prodigious explorer, prodigal explorer. The other version of that word. So
let's explore some evil genius territory.
Indeed. Well, maybe he can steal a gauntlet from them or something and, hit his power undeservedly after squandering his magical talents. That's the lore, look it up. CLG going to do their very best to come back into this one. The deficit staying now at 8,000, growing at a honestly reasonably steady pace right here. Pressure into the mid lane, nice pillar, but obviously very easy to arcane shift away from that one. And Stixxay plus Smoothie remains safe down there. Mid lane tier 2 though still under fire. Jiizuke going to put some attacks down. Blitzbane is done. Easy extra burst damage. A lot of shots coming through. That turret's already down to about 15%. Jiizuke one more auto. Ulti comes down for Smoothie. He's going to root the Trundle, but he's very, very tanky. Not an easy target. Ult comes down for Bang. Stixxay is at 400. Has to back off there. A bit of poke towards Bang. Not going to be enough. Ulti comes down, and is not going to reveal a turret. Maybe bot lane tier 2? Maybe, maybe not. Regardless, though, CLG not able to pick up a whole much out of that, as turret number 5 drops in favor of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, I mean, EG can easily pick up Rift Herald's number 2 on the top side here and use that to crack inside of the inhibitor turret defense of CLG and guarantee themselves a basically gold paved pathway to the Nexus here. Because, again, they're the team with the beefy front line. They're the ones that also drafted for easier 5-on-5s with Poppy and Trundle there. So they have so many options with a 4-kill, 9 pages in his Medjay, by the way, stacked TF for Jiizuke. They can easily push in multiple lanes, even look for possible dives if they're feeling it. You know, there's multiple routes for them to try and finish this one off. Jiizuke!
Ooh, no damage from the ranged Q. The jump forward can't usually miss, but yeah, that's going to be an auto attack from Bang, and they're going to also go dive Wiggily. It's going to be a kill down there, no problem, and Bang, I guess I'll chase him down. Ruin saw a turret! He got to see the turret on his way out, so at least CLG gets that one done. You are not living.
A tier 2 turret at that!
It's still the kill. Bang gets kill credit for hitting him a while back. Now Smoothie is on the run. He needs to jump to Stixxay. He's able to do so. They're going to at least stay alive, but EG are just absolutely walking over CLG.
It's like scouting in an RTS, like Warcraft or StarCraft. Yeah. They're sending probes into the base to see what EG are building, and they find out, oh, EG are already complete builds here.
Kobe, what kind of worker is Ruin? He's an SCV, a drone, a probe, a peon, a peasant, a wisp, or an acolyte?
I was going to go with a probe.
Okay.
But because, you know, Jayce, the mechanical theme, it seemed like it worked.
I'd also say that he's a pro toss.
Fair enough. Here's another look. But my favorite part, of course, about this is that Jiizuke is like, my work here is done. You got this one, right, Bang? Yeah, no problem. And then he leaves up to the top side to make sure they get the second kill. And Bang obviously can just corner Ruin in here. There's no escape route for Ruin.
Yeah.
You know, he can either die by a turret shot or die by an Aphelios shot.
And down he goes, explodes, his hammer destroys itself as he falls over, and then comes back about 25 seconds later with the respawn. 20 minutes into the game, 10,500 gold lead here into this one, as Evil Geniuses have gotten all 6 turrets outside of the base, and CLG are, as you mentioned about 10 minutes ago, right? The territory that becomes EG territory, that used to be CLG territory, it just keeps growing. You know, it's that map just keeps getting more and more dark blue, and here comes break number 3. Not a problem on this one as well. Easy pickup, and Cloud Soul is 126 minutes into the game. Oh, okay, not a problem. Well over the damage of True Shot Barrage. Easy auto attack. Svenskeren grabs it. And now we'll see what else EG wants to do on this one, as Wiggily is just forced to run away from his jungle.
I mean, let's take a look at what happens here with Pobelter, you know, eyeballing Jiizuke. It looks like they want to, they're going to back off because you have everyone pushed up mid. But I mean, honestly, at the beginning of summer, if you had asked me how long would we have to wait for a perfect game, I might not have said
game 3.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have said game 3, but Pobelter.
That's damage. That's a lot. Jiizuke has to run backwards, but there's the stun. The cleanse to run away. Shield comes zombie. He doesn't have the damage. Pobelter has to run, and it's not going to be enough. The tail doesn't move fast enough. Bang! Gets his 5th kill of the game.
Pobelter want to get his hands dirty. He was the only member of CLG who had not died in lane phase, that had not died yet, and was sitting on all the goose eggs 0-0-0. So now solidarity with the rest of the team.
Yes,
goes down in the 1v4, 1v5. But and even though I might have been like, okay, you know, maybe we will have a perfect game pretty early on in summer, I would for sure have expected it to come from Cloud9. Perfect gaming somebody. That's not the case. EG are here to play. Baron gets picked up very easily for themselves. And they're definitely holding this perfect game.
And I am very happy with EG so far. Keep in mind that they were a very questionable team for the first maybe 10 or so games of the spring split, and then as the late half of the split came around in the playoffs, they started getting a lot better. Like, you know, they were one of the teams that actually beat Cloud9, but of only 2 seasons to do so. And that was because they were improving. Jiizuke was very good. Bang was very good, and it feels like we've picked up where they left off. where, look, these guys are still really good. The whole team's working well together. EG still feel like a top team in the LCS.
So I've got another topic for you because I really like this line of improvement. EG, they did add obviously Huni in the offseason and have tried him in scrims and stuff, but they haven't changed the roster, and a lot of the teams having trouble and making lots of these changes during the split with 10-man rosters and never really sure who they're building on, I feel like miss out on some of the building and the growth that you're talking about EG going through in spring, where even in interviews they're very clearly talking about, yeah, we are on different pages for our game plan, literally in game as we're playing them. And once they solve some of these issues, they just start to look so much better.
Yeah.
And now they can continue on that success they built here in summer.
And I like it. And so, yeah, to your sort of point, I don't think EG should ever sub out Kumo and Bang so that Huni can get play in. I would not sub out Jiizuke or Bang. They're probably your two best performers, and I think you keep what's going on right now. The team looks quite good. Wiggily gets chunked incredibly low as Bang continues to put out absurd damage here. Bot lane being poked down. Jiizuke with a Twisted Fate gets that inhibitor to drop down. Mid, of course, turret's already gone. Channel on the hammer, not quite going to land. Pobelter can't get the stun either. A little bit of damage towards Bang puts him at half, but so far no kills. Pobelter is going to drop for this one as the follow-through is in. Evotinus' 4 strong knocked down that kill. Hit number 2 is going to fall. Bang jumps forward, flashes in for the autos. Can't quite knock down Stixxay, but the middle inhibitor going to be left open now as well as the waves come in. Only 24 minutes in, and EG have not given up a single objective. Don't waste it now. Please don't dive the fountain. Perfect game to knock down CLG and their season opener.
Whew. That's impressive stuff. All right, that's a clap. That's the strongest clap that we have had so far in summer. Congratulations to Evil Geniuses. I mean, if we look back even to how it started out, Kumo on this Poppy, the guy that people have been talking about. Oh, are they going to sub him out for Huni? If you do, then you have to give up Bang, but maybe the gain is worth it. I mean, Kumo had great impact on the Poppy, defensive opening, keeping up in CS, invading an enemy jungle, creating some early kills and early leads for EG.
Yeah. It does mean kind of unfortunate things on the CLG side, of course, where that feels a bit uncomfortable as they were the 10th place finisher from last split. They picked up very, very few wins, and then their summer split opener is getting perfect gamed. It was by a top 3 team, right? EG are still one of the very best teams in the league, but I mean, even C9 had some close games, like EG just completely wiped the floor with CLG. There's 17 more to play. We might see improve, but it's not a heartening start.
Are you a fan of underdogs, Freak? Because
yes,
that is how you build the underdog story.
Yes.
You slam a 10th place, and then you get perfect game in the opener, and you're like, who's the most underdog of the league? Yeah, it's us.
I'm just imagining the incredibly infuriated comments in the subreddit because that's happening. There's a thread up right now that's like, why didn't you make any changes? You got perfect. And it's, I will. I'm willing to give them time, but yeah, obviously, again, rough start.
Yeah, I mean, definitely hard to making changes. All the teams have talked about, especially with COVID being layered onto it and visas and everything like that, does limit options. So you feel a bit bad for some of the ways, but you feel more bad for what we just saw.
All right, well, that is going to be how that one goes, of course. We are, I believe, done covering this game here from the caster desk. Let's send it down to the analyst desk to break down that win after the break.
Welcome back to the LCS Dome, powered by Alienware, where we just saw a perfect game from Evil Geniuses. What a way to kick off our Saturday, gents. An utter smash by EG over CLG. Mark, initial impressions?
Initial impressions are, EG still killing it. They were really good at the end of last split. CLG still getting killed just as they were at the end of last split. It's really impressive stuff by EG.
I thought they'd get better, but I'm starting to ask our stats team to see if we could make a separate column of just regular stats against all the teams and maybe one that excludes the CLG games, because this is just an abysmal beginning to a season. Like, you could actually not start off on a worse foot than this, so I am feeling very scared for my stock purchases.
Yeah, you got 3 more of them.
Right, a tough opener, and Crumbs had thrown some weight behind them. Probably, let's take a look at this draft, because while I don't want to make any sweeping judgments about the meta just yet, we've only played 3 games here in summer, I think there is something to be said about the way CLG approached this game.
Yeah, I do want to caveat this by saying this is not why they lost. I would say if the game was more even, this is probably why they would lose the game. But since the game was such a blowout, the early game was just disastrous. EG just stomped them completely. It wasn't that big of a factor, but it was more of like, this is not really the correct way to build a poke comp. Usually when you have a poke comp, you have to have some kind of CC, some kind of frontline, because you want the fight to be extended. You don't want to have these fast, bursty fights. You want them to stay in a vicinity, and you want to just throw skill shots at them. But when you have no one who's tanky, you have no one who has CC, I mean, the enemy team, they're good with their mice. They can move around. They're going to dodge everything. Unless, you hit an EMP to Evil Genius's, laboratory or whatever, they're just going to dodge everything because you can't hold them down. So I really dislike this composition if it had gone even, because I would like to see some kind of, tanky or some kind of CC built into this composition to make it work.
And it's also not a shot at a lot of the individual picks. Ezreal Yuumi is pretty good. China's playing Nidalee. Jayce is a premier top laner right now. This is all together. This is a comp that would not work a dynamic, how the dynamics work together in any meta. It's not about the picks themselves. It's about anytime you build a full poke comp with no front line, this is going to be the result usually. Not maybe this drastic, but it's really difficult to play the game.
I will add one thing to that, though, that I think teams often fall into this trap. You want to have your best players play champions that just highlight their strengths, and the ones that you perceive to be weaknesses or might not be the ones that you play around, you want to give them picks that can just mitigate that. So, for example, Kumo with his Poppy last split, when he was having a hard time against top laners, he'd play Poppy and have a great time. Wiggily has not been your top performer. Why are you giving him Nidalee? Nidalee is the hardest jungler to execute on, that requires so many intricate parts around your team that I just don't know what their scrims have been looking like, but this is just not where you put it. His best pick has been Rek'Sai. Why not go back to that?
Well, you point to the jungle, and the jungle is kind of where it all began. Very early on, Evil Genius is able to find a couple catches in the jungle. CLG, none the wiser to the situation, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But this is where I do want to talk about Evil Geniuses, because so much of their spring split identity was Jiizuke's doing his thing, and the rest of the team's trying to keep up. And then we gradually saw them become more and more on the same page as the split went on, and it feels like that's even accelerated here into summer.
Yeah, EG has been on the same page this entire game. It shows that they haven't regressed at all from last split, which I think is really important, because they were a pretty volatile up and down team for a lot of it, and then really hit their stride right at the end. And that's why I think a lot of us are glad to see Huni not swapping out and Bang, and maybe deconstructing some of the progress that they had made.
I like the bottom lane played so well. You could even tell in the beginning of the laning phase, they were able to get a quick recall, have an item advantage, which just snowballed entirely against what Stixxay could do. And look at how easy it is for them to play in this lane. Even when the Nidalee ends up attempting to gank this lane, Lulu is there to just completely obliterate his day. Watch how Wiggily tries to get in here. He's gonna land this spear, you think, oh yeah, this is the right time, right? Instantly canceled with the ultimate, and then you get turned on.
Yeah, this fantastic team play backed up by fantastic mechanical play. It's weird to say this as well. We're only 3 games into the split, but Evil Genius has already played both of their opening weekend games, and they now sit at 2-0. Talk about a hot start for a team that was already contesting near the top of the ladder in spring.
Oh yeah, and Sorry, one big thing is like Jiizuke is like TF pick. Like TF hasn't been shown that much so far. So we talked a little bit about draft before. Like the TF pick was so important against poke comp in general to be an engage. And as soon as they got the early kills in the game, you saw like TF was actually wave clearing at tier 1 mid turret, and that creates such an issue because now the entire map is scared. No longer in a 1v1 or a 2v2. So Jiizuke being able to get that first port off, like if TF gets his first port off at level 6, that's going to be a hard game. So Jiizuke's pick was great, his play was really great, and as soon as he started to get kills, that's where like the whole map just started breaking up, and they took out all tier 2s in 20 minutes. That's a pretty good feat.
Yeah, Mark, did you have a thought there?
Nope.
No, he did not. And since Mark has no thoughts in his brains, we're going to step away for a quick break. But there's more LCS coming up after this.
You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
Yeah.
Red sweater, button-down shirt. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.